Hello, my name is Clay Davey, and I'm representing the Group 4 of the History Group for our model lesson. And first of all, I'll take a second to introduce our fellow group members that are going to present this lesson to you today. Like I said, my name's Clay, along with Emily Hogan, Andrew Hillquist, Mary Clayton, Allison Moeller, Tasha Lindsay, and Heather Bentel. We're going to be bringing this lesson to you here in a moment. But first of all, I'm just going to introduce what our lesson is going to cover and some of the background on it. Now, first of all, this lesson is produced for a high school classroom, a classroom that may have students with learning disabilities. And really the objective of this lesson is going to be to teach World War II objectives to the class, specifically Concept 8 of the Arizona Standards, which is talking about the kind of cultural implications of the war and some of the turning points. And really what the relationship between this major objective of the activity and of the lesson, they're really going to tie into each other. Kind of what's going to take place is we're going to have a discussion about World War II, the different groups, most specifically Japanese internment, and just to get kind of a glimpse of the cultural impact of the war. So what we're going to do is split them into groups and discuss how different culture groups felt about the war, and hopefully that's going to link back into these standards, and I think the activity and the lesson are going to go hand in hand. Now, the evaluation tool that we're going to use for this activity is, first of all, we're going to grade on participation, and we expect for each student to give 2 contributions to the discussion. So participation is what we're going to be looking for, and also the length, the length of their answers. But yeah, participation is what we're going to be graded on, and we hope you guys enjoy. What's going to take place now is we're going to actually show this lesson. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy our video. Thank you.
All right, hi class. Today we're going to be talking about World War II and the different groups after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The 3 groups we're going to really focus on is the American people, the government, and Japanese Americans. What you're going to do is I'll assign you a group, and for a few minutes you'll individually brainstorm how you feel about the event. You're going to try to place yourself in that situation, so you're not going to try to include your opinions that you have from today. You're going to, if you're in the Japanese group, you're going to pretend you're a Japanese American at the time of World War II. So I'll break you into your groups, and as you're brainstorming, here's some things you want to consider. You want to think about how this is going to affect your family and your money, and if you have a business or property. Things like that you're going to want to consider. So especially, here's a few ideas. If you're in the Japanese American group, you want to think, how will the internment affect your family, or how will it affect your livelihood? And if you're part of the general population, you might want to think about, how do you feel about Japanese people in general, or how do you think of them now after Pearl Harbor? And do you think that the internment of Japanese is good for Americans, or do you think it's something we should be doing or we shouldn't be doing? And then also, if you're the government group, you should think about, could Japanese Americans be a threat to our national security? And then, is the safety of other American citizens threatened by Japanese Americans? Is this something we really need to be doing, or are they not really a threat? So I'll go ahead and Mary and Clay, you guys can be the Japanese Americans, and Andy and Heather, I'll go ahead and have you be the general population, and Allison and Tasha, you can be the U.S. government. So before you meet in your groups, I want you to brainstorm for a couple minutes of how you feel, and then we'll get together with our partners and you can discuss. Right, now which group did you guys have?
Oh, we are the Japanese Americans.
Japanese Americans? How are you guys thinking that internment is going to affect you?
Well, we're going to be moved from our homes.
Okay, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's kind of stinky.
Yeah, all right.
I feel bad about it because we've been Americans for a while now, but yet
Right.
we're being treated like outcasts.
Right.
So, I mean, we've been citizens, but all of a sudden we're the enemy.
Right, that's a good point. How do you think it'll affect your livelihood? What about you? Do you guys have jobs or a business?
Yeah, I'll have a job and a business, and at my home and I'm gonna have to leave them. What am I gonna do in the internment camp? How am I
Right.
gonna make money there?
Right, those are both very good points. Good job, guys. All right, what group are you guys?
We're the American government.
You're the American government. What do you guys feel about the Japanese Americans? Do you guys think they're a threat to our national security?
I think we're protecting the Japanese.
You think you're protecting the Japanese?
Yes, because the American people would rise up and get scared and hurt them. So they're actually better off in a sense, rather than being on the streets or something. They're being fed and housed, so they're in good states.
Heather, you're doing a very good job of taking this from the stance of the American government during Japanese internment. You're doing a very good job of following the instructions of putting yourself in that situation. So you guys think that it's a safety issue, that you're keeping them safe, the Japanese
I think
safe?
we're also keeping the American people safe from those Japanese citizens who feel that they still have loyalty to Japan
Good
and
job.
will fight against us as Americans.
Those are both very good points. Good job, you guys. All right, at this point in the class, everyone would have talked in their individual groups and come up with group ideas, and we would meet as a class now. Due to time, we're not going to go through the process, but what we would do is we'd all meet as a class and express the opinions that we came up with as a group, and we're going to talk about the differences and the opinions we have and why each group might feel the way they do. And then we can have a better understanding of how we get these opinions, and then we can relate it even to 9/11 and see how after a current event that we've all lived through, how groups were formed and different groups faced discrimination right after the terrorist attack.
Kind of take the time to go through and kind of recap what we did. The relationship between how we measured things in the lesson is obviously the group members were supposed to give a response, so that participation grade. This activity will engage students in active learning by kind of adding that critical thinking aspect of coming together and kind of thinking about the impact of certain issues and taking a point of view. And utilizing multiple intelligences, well, we're using a cooperative situation with students, as you saw, a small group activity, pairing up students and having them think about things. And again, a situation where these high schoolers can relate to real life is obviously discrimination takes place today. And as we talked about earlier, as also during 9/11, we saw kind of a similar situation with Arab Americans kind of facing discrimination because they were deemed terrorists or the enemy. So kind of it can really tie into things that have happened also in the past during wars. Things like this have come up. And again, that is also going to provide an opportunity for students to relate it to their own lives today. As having this critical thinking aspect about how certain situations impact other groups, other races, and about thinking about discrimination, how to avoid it, and the implications of when discrimination is involved. All right, well, as we talked about, this lesson may be used in a classroom where you have students with learning disabilities. And right now we're going to talk about the adaptations, the accommodations that you can make to better suit those students. First of all, what we can do is that the student may only have to add 1 point to the conversation rather than 2. So kind of make it so they only have to add 1 point. Also, instead of having each student talk, maybe students that weren't as comfortable with that, you could appoint a group speaker to do all the talking for that particular group. And lastly, the student could, instead of verbally giving their answer, they can write a paragraph instead or use some other means of conveying that point. All right, well, hope you guys enjoyed, and thanks a lot.